Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Svapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Zagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in the last session we have seen, in the last Saturday session, we have seen the 10th chapter of first canto, where we have seen how Lord Krishna, he is actually leaving Hastinapur. And in the today's chapter, we will discuss about 11th chapter, which talks about Lord Krishna entering into Dvārakā. So in the last session, we have seen how the ladies or women of Hastinapur, they reveal their heart, what they are feeling, the separation when the Lord is leaving Hastinapur after a long time. And we see at the end of the chapter that Yudhishthira Maharaj, along with the Pandavas, along with the whole entourage of the army, they are accompanying Lord Krishna outside Hastinapur. And after some time, Lord Krishna asked them to leave and perform their duties of ruling Hastinapur. And then Lord Krishna is now moving towards Dvārakā. So I'll share my screen.
Hare Krishna. Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dvārakā, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. The white and the fat bowl conch shell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stem of red lotus flower. The citizen of Dvārakā, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is a protector of all devotees.
So here we can see that Suta Goswami, now he is trying to describe how Lord is nearing to the city of Dvārakā, and how when he is just about to enter Dwaraka, he is sounding his conch shell, right? So this is a way in a Vedic culture. So whenever there is a start of a war, or whenever some great personality is entering the arena, so it is very auspicious, to hear the conch shells. So in that way, Lord also is giving an hint to the citizens of Dwarka that no, the Lord has come. So we can see once they hear the sound of the conch shell blown by Supreme Lord, so they just they run towards seeing the Lord, because it has been so long time that the Supreme Lord has gone to Hastinapur to resolve the conflicts between Pandavas and the Kauravas, and he has to stay there for a longer time. And after the war of Kurukshetra, the Lord is coming. So here all the citizens of Dwarka, they are actually have been living in the separation, right? So if we look at Bhagavad Gita introduction, Prabhupada mentions like there are 5 ways of relationship a person can have with the Supreme Lord. So we see that one is Shantarasya, then Dasya Bhav, then Sakhya, then Vatsalya and Madhurya. So these are all in increment order, right? So first any person would have relationship with the Lord in awe and reverence, and then they would want to serve the Supreme Lord in the form of Dasya. Then they want to become a friend of the Supreme Lord like Arjuna in the uh, Sakya form. And then there is a parental love for the Supreme Lord. There's a worry, oh, what would happen? Would my Lord feel what is a cold in the winter? Would he feel very hot in the summer? So there is a parental love towards the Lord. There is a kind of a worrisome, to maintain the Supreme Lord. Although he is the Supreme Lord, he need not be maintained. But in the Vatsalya form, so that love a devotee shows towards the Supreme Lord. And the highest form is a Madhurya Rasa, where there is a conjugal love between the devotee and the Supreme Lord. In that Madhurya Rasa also, the separation, the moment they spend in separation is the highest form of the love, right? So generally we may think, okay, when two person comes together, then the love between them is to the highest point, but it is not so. The scriptures mention that the love in separation, love in viraha, is the supreme most form of the love. So here we can see the Dwaraka Vasis, right? They are feeling that separation towards the Lord, and once they hear the conch shell, that no, they are getting a hint that okay, the Lord is coming to Dwarka. So it is mentioned here that they are very joyous. So we'll see in the next verses how Suta Goswami describes about the citizens of Dwarka.
The citizens arrive before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who by his own potency unceasingly supplies others. These presentations were like the offering of a lamb to the sun. Yet the citizen began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as the wards welcomed their guardian and the father.
So here we can see the descriptions how Suta Goswami is mentioning that how the citizens of Dwarka, they actually have welcomed the Supreme Lord, right? So they have sent, they have come up with some uh, gifts to the Lord, right? And it is mentioned, that all their presentations, whatever they are bringing to the Supreme Lord, it is like something, like a lamp offering to the sun. So it is very foolish. It seems to be very foolish, like when someone offers a lamp to the sun, right? Because sun is so powerful, and the lamp, whatever we offer, is very insignificant. So here the Suta Goswami is mentioning that though the citizens of the Dwarka, they were welcoming the Supreme Lord with lot of presents, but in front of the Supreme Lord, those presents didn't had uh, much significant, because he is the one who is supplying and he can supply probably millions times what they have given to him. So that's why Suta Goswami mentions that no, still the Lord is being satisfied with whatever they are supplying, knowing that he is only the supplier, right? So even Srila Prabhupada, no, he mentions in Bhagavad Gita that no, one has to just acknowledge, right? So whenever no, we are trying to offer bhoga to the Supreme Lord, so whatever we are preparing, the vegetables, the dishes, and whatever has been used in preparation of those things, no, they've all been given by the Supreme Lord, right? So we are just offering as in gratitude towards the Supreme Lord for whatever He has given to us. So it is not that no, we can use something by which we can materially satisfy the Supreme Lord, right? So here in purport, Prabhupada also gives a comparison like how like the father is the one who supplies all the things in the family, but out of love, when the kids no, they give some present to their father, probably on his birthday or some occasion, the father is very happy, but very well he know that whatever they have given, that has come from his pocket only, right? But still he is very happy when he receives such gifts or presents from his children. So similarly here also, citizens, no, they go with something, some presents to the Lord to welcome him, right? So in this context, Prabhupada also many times mentions that whenever we go to see the Lord in Archa Vigraha form in temple, so we should never go in empty hands, and we should always take something or the other to the Supreme Lord.
The citizens said, O Lord, you are worshipped by all the demigods like Brahma, the four sanas, and the even King of heaven. You are the ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord. The inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you. O Creator of universe, you are our Mother, Well-wisher, Lord Father, Spiritual Master, worshipable deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us with your mercy. Oh, it is our good luck that we have come again today under your protection by your presence. For your lordships rarely visits even the denizens of heaven. Now it is possible for us to look into your smiling face, which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see your transcendental form full of auspiciousness.
So here we can see that the citizens of Dvārakā, they have started praying to the Supreme Lord, right? So in the previous session also we have seen the 10th chapter, when the Supreme Lord is leaving the Hastinapur, even the women of the Hastinapur, they are uh, uh, offering some prayers to the Supreme Lord when he is departing, right? So here we can see when the Supreme Lord is coming to Dvārakā, the citizens are also offering their prayers. So they're comparing that, no, that you are the Supreme Personality who is even worshipped by all the demigods like Brahma and the Indra and the four Kumaras. So here we can see that no, they're acknowledging, right, the citizens of Dwarka, they're acknowledging that whenever they're able to follow the footsteps of the Supreme Lord, they're becoming successful in every aspect, right? So we should always remember that if we want to become successful, then we should just follow the footsteps what the Supreme Lord has given to us. So what footsteps he want us to walk in, so we have to just follow them. So here this is a beautiful thing, like where we can understand that if you want to become successful, we have to just follow the words of the Supreme Lord. So we can see that. And in the 8th verse, we can see the citizen mentioning that your lordship rarely visits even the denizens of the heaven, right? So this is very, very important. So out of the 3 planetary system, the upper planetary system and the middle and the lower planetary system, so the Supreme Lord had went so many times on this earthly planet, right? So that's why they're praising that no, even your advent is very rare among the denizens of heaven, and we are so lucky to have your presence in front of us. So in the upper planetary system, if we see all the living entities who are there on the upper planetary system, so they are trying to just use their punya, right? So whatever good deeds they have been doing, they have done actually. So they are just enjoying. So there is only enjoyment in the upper planetary system. So because they have accumulated so much of Sukriti, they have got a particular body which can be in higher planetary system or in a demigod. So they just go through that life and then they just come to the this middle planetary system, earthly planet. And if you look at the below planetary system also, they are full of ignorance and they want to just enjoy their life even though they are suffering so much. So there is always a tendency to enjoy, and obviously they are suffering because of their bad deeds. So if you look at these three planetary systems, so it is only on the earthly planetary system where Supreme Lord keeps on inventing mostly, because this is a karma kshetra, right? So because here everybody can realize happiness and sorrow at the same time, and it is a very apt place and circumstance where one can realize or have God realization. So here the citizens are mentioning here that your presence is not even, uh, or it is very rare in the heavenly planets.
O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like million of years. O infallible one, at that time, our eyes becomes useless as if bereft of sun. O Master, if you live abroad all the time, then we cannot look at your attractive face, whose smiles vanquish all our sufferings. How can we exist without your presence? Upon hearing their speeches, the Lord, who is very kind to the citizens and the devotees, entered the city of Dvāraka and acknowledged all their greetings by casting his transcendental glance over them.
So till here we can see, like probably from verse number 6 till 10. So we can see how the citizens of Dwarka, they're offering prayers. See, so they are telling, no, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapur, so we are not able to bear even a moment, right? So it is very, very similar to what we have seen from the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Sistastakam, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that even a moment of separation seems to be like, 12 years, something like that, right? So here we can see same how the devotees of Dwarka are having, that they are feeling that moment of absence also like millions and millions of years, right? And they are comparing this, like what is the use of having eyes if there is no sun, right? Because we may all have eyes, but if there is no sun, because we can see only when there is sunshine or some light, then only we can see some object. Otherwise, if there is no sun, then there is no use of having good eyes also, right? So that's why they're trying to compare. Like even though we have life within us, but because you are not with amongst us, then we are useless, something like that, right?
As Bhogavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwaraka protected by the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, Madhu, Dasara, Ara, Kukura, Andhaka, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna. The city of Dwarakapuri was filled with the opulences of all seasons. There were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, and reservoirs of water, breeding lotus flowers all over. The city gateway, the household doors, and the festooned arches along the roads were all nicely decorated with festive signs like palanquin trees and mango leaves, all to welcome the Lord. Flags, garlands, and the painted signs and the slogans all combined to the shade of sunshine. The highways, subways, lanes, markets, and the public meetings places were all thoroughly cleansed and then moistened with scented water. And to welcome the Lord, fruits, flowers, and unbroken seeds were straight everywhere. In each and every door of the residential houses, auspicious things like curd, unbroken fruits, sugarcane, and full water pots with articles for worship, incense, and candles were all displayed.
So here we can see from verse number 11 to 15 that Suta Goswami is describing the beauty of Dwarka Puri, right? So if you see, like for example, in our current situation, so if a very important person is coming, for example, a prime minister is coming to Bangalore or to your home, right, to your place wherever you are staying. So you can just imagine what is the situation, right? So only on the path where the person is going, that would be cleaned, and it would be made sure that no, they have a comfortable what do you say, stay wherever they actually have some place to speech or some place to visit, whatever they have come from for actually, right? But here we can see in the Dvāraka Puri, so you can see all the gateways, highways, markets, public places, they're completely clean, and no, they are smeared with scented water, right? So just imagine for a place like Bangalore, so if the king is coming, then to make whole Bangalore like this, what here the descriptions have been given, it is next to impossible. We cannot actually, uh, we cannot think it is possible, right? Because this is how the rule in Kali Yuga is actually. The citizens of the kingdom, they themselves are suffering, right? So only the people, no, the administrative people like chief minister or the some ministers in the country, they are just having a lavish house, beautiful garden, and they are getting all these beautiful bungalows and whatever descriptions have been given here, like decorated with flowers and all these things, right? But the normal citizen in the kingdom is not able to enjoy all these things. But here we see in Dwarka, it is completely opposite, no? Like every house, every marketplace, every road, no, it is beautifully decorated, no, with the scented water, fruits, flowers, and water, all the auspicious things, right? So we don't see any crisis of these things in the kingdom.
On hearing that the most dear Krishna was approaching Dwarka Dham, magnanimous Vasudev, Akrura, Ugrasen, Balaram, the superhumanly powerful, Pradyumna, Charudeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, all extremely happy, abundant, resting, sitting, and dining. They hastened towards the Lord on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers. Before them were the elephants, emblems of good fortune, conch shell, bugles were sounded, and the Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. At the same time, many hundreds of well known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were very eager to meet Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. Experts, dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, gynecologist, and learned speakers all gave their respective contribution, being inspired by the superhuman pastime of the Lord. Thus, they proceeded on and on.
So here we can see how the different personalities in Dwarka or the citizens of Dwarka, they are welcoming the Supreme Lord, right? So this also gives us actually a lesson, like how we should actually welcome a great personality, right? How the reception of a great personality or an important personality should be, right? So even in our temple, whenever we try to receive a great senior devotee or sannyasi, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, you can see that the temple is beautifully decorated with flowers. It is clean. There are so many rangolis, no, Mataji's put. And when that personality is coming, when the devotee is coming, so there is a gathering of so many people, no, both sides of the path. So whatever they are doing, they just leave, right? So here also it is mentioned, right? So all this Vasudev, Akrura, Ugrasena, so they just left whatever they were doing, whether they were eating, sitting, dining. So just all of them rushed out to welcome Lord Krishna. So similarly, everybody, in the temple, we can see that whatever they are doing, if they get information that so and so personality is just come at the gateway of the temple, everybody leaves whatever they are doing. They just rush, they welcome with a kirtan, and there are flowers offered, there's garland being offered, right? And sometimes there are gifts being given. So this is how the Vedic culture teaches us how we should actually give reception to a great personality. Right here, we can similarly see like how dancers, artists, different walks of life, whatever they are able to do, they are just contributing in giving reception to the Supreme Lord.
Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, approached them and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all others who came to receive and welcome him. The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving assurances, and awarding benedictions, even to the lowest in rank. Then the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid brahmanas with their wives, all offerings, benedictions, and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praised the glories of the Lord. When Lord Krishna passed over the public roads, all the ladies from the respectable families of Dvāraka went up to the roofs of their palaces just to have a look at the Lord. They considered this to be the greatest festival.
Right. So here we can see, so once the Lord, he received that reception from everyone. So he at once acknowledged, right? So to whomever he has to pay respects, like his grandfather Ugrasena is there, elderly people are there, Brahmanas are there. So to each and everyone, so however he has to approach with a due honor and respect. So the Supreme Lord did that. And after all these things, he just happily entered the city of Dvāraka with his elderly relatives.
The inhabitants of Dvāraka were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty, the infallible Lord, yet they were never satiated. The Lord's chest is the abode of the goddess of fortune. His moon-like face is the drinking vessel for eyes, which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are resting places for the administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge of the pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subject except his lordships. As the Lord passed along the public road of Dvāraka, his head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircles, and showers of flowers fell upon the road. His yellow garments and the garlands of the flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud were surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lighting, and rainbows.
Right. So in these two verses, especially 26 and 27, we can see that Sutta Goswami is actually mentioning the beauty of the Supreme Lord. Right. So here the goddess of fortune, she resides on the chest of the Supreme Lord, right? And his moon-like face is the drinking vessel for eyes, right? So the Supreme Lord's face is actually, what to say, it is actually drunk by the eyes of all the citizens of the Dvāraka, or in fact, all the devotees, right? So a brief description about the Supreme Lord's outward bodily beauty is described in 26. And in 27, it also describes about the Supreme Lord's how he is passing the road. So he is being protected by the white umbrella on his forehead, and there is a chamara, in semicircle. Someone is giving chamara service to the Supreme Lord, and there are showers of flowers, coming, from the roof of all the houses wherever the Supreme Lord is walking, and they're falling on his yellow garments. So here Sutta Goswami is comparing all these things to what? He's comparing that as if a dark cloud were to be surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbow, right? Actually, in realistic, it is never to happen, like where you can see sun, moon, lightning, and rainbow also together. But here, Sutta Goswami, he actually compares the Supreme Lord's body to the dark cloud, right? And the umbrella to the sun, and the chamara to the moon, and all the flowers which are being thrown, they are compared to the little stars in the sky, and the Supreme Lord's yellow garments are compared to the rainbow, right? So in this way, all of them are present simultaneously, which is actually normally impossible to happen. So the Sutta Goswami is trying to describe this, or trying to compare this whatever scene when Supreme Lord is walking to these things.
After entering the house of his father, he was embraced by the mothers present. And the Lord offered his obeisances unto them by placing his head at their feet. The mothers were headed by Devaki, his real mother. The mothers, after embracing their son, sat on their laps. Due to pure affections, milk sprang from their breast. They were overwhelmed with delight, and the tears from their eyes visited the Lord. Thereafter, the Lord enters his palaces, which were perfect to the fullest extent. His wives lived in them, and they numbered over 16,000. The queens of Lord Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seats and meditations, as was socially customary. They covered their faces shyly and looked up about coyly.
So here we can see that after the Supreme Lord is has given his darshan to the general public, so now he is entering his own palace or house. And here we can see the descriptions how he is meeting his father and he is meeting all his mothers. Now he is headed by Devaki Mata. And there are descriptions like how the mothers are feeling the love immediately, right? So generally, when the mothers they see their small baby, so immediately they are able to get milk from their breast. But here you can see that Krishna is so old. No, he is almost like probably over 100 years at this point of time. But still, when all the mothers they are seeing Krishna, out of love they are able to get milk in their breast, right? And then after meeting their elderly, like father and mothers, so Krishna he enters the quarters of the queens, right? So Krishna is having over 16,000 queens, and here uh, we can see that how like how Narad Muni sees Lord Krishna simultaneously in all the palaces at a time. So here also Lord Krishna he actually uh, divides himself into these 16,000 odd numbers, and then he goes into each palace to meet the queen and the children of Lord Krishna. So here we can see as in customary, so the queens are not immediately just going and hugging or embracing the Supreme Lord. So out of etiquette, they are just they have just got up from their seat, and in the next verse we'll see.
The inseparable ecstasy was so strong that the queens, who were shy, first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their hearts. Then they embraced him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace him, which is equal to personal embracing. But, O chief amongst the Brigus, though they tried to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears.
Right. So here we can see how the queens of Dvārakā, so out of shyness, they didn't immediately actually embrace the Supreme Lord. So they just embrace the Supreme Lord in their hearts first. So they embraced him in the heart, and then they embraced him visually with their eyes. And then they sent their sons so that their sons can physically embrace the Supreme Lord. And in the end, so the Goswami mentions, so much so they were able to, they were trying to restrain their feelings, but inevitably they would, we can see them shedding tears of happiness.
Although Lord Krishna was constantly by their sides, as well as exclusively alone, his feet appeared to them to the newer and newer. The goddess of fortune, although by nature always restless and moving, could not quit the Lord's feet. So, what woman can be detached from from those feet, having once taken shelter of them? The Lord was.
So here we can see that the queens, they they found Krishna to be newer and newer, right? So here we can see the description of mentioning that his feet appeared to them to be newer and newer, right? So it means how we can understand is whenever you see any young couple, right, a girl and a boy, if they meet, they talk, then again another day they meet, they talk, another day they meet and talk, but they keep on feeling that no, it is very newer and newer experience for them whenever they are meeting each other, right? So we may not be able to understand because in the material world when husband and wife stays together, they get used to each other. So they may not feel that newness all the time. But here, the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the queens is different, right? So they are always feeling that newness in their relationship. So here it is mentioned that no, that these queens are, though no, the Supreme Lord is away, and sometimes the Supreme Lord is exclusively alone with them, right? But still they feel that no, his feet is very new. That whatever experience they are having at that moment is very fresh and new, right?
The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos and so sparks a fire.
So here we can see, whatever Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that what is the reason he comes for, uh, what is the reason for his advent? It is mainly to kill the miscreants. So here also we can see that immediately after uh, uh, fulfilling the purpose for what he has come to this earthly planet, where he has made a situation, right? He has not fought any war actually, right? So here Sutta Goswami clearly says that no, he acts like the friction between the bamboo, right? So both the bamboos were all the kings, no, who were supposed to be killed, and Krishna had come to act like a friction, so that no, they can out of two bamboos rubbing each other, they can cause a fire, and then in this fire, like as we know, like who were burdensome to the earth, they have been killed, right? And the Pandavas were saved. So here, Krishna, it is described here. So the Goswami describes like how he has fulfilled the purpose of removing the burden from the earthly planet.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his Father's mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst the competent women as if he were engaging in mundane affairs. Although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord.
So here in description in the verse of 35, Suta Goswami mentions that no, this is the Supreme Lord, no, who has come to actually remove the burden of the earth. And now we can see that he is trying to engage or enjoy with this competent woman. So basically, he is trying to address the queens of the Dvārakā. And he's telling that it seems that no, Supreme Lord is trying to have some mundane affairs. No, he is trying to behave like a father, like a husband, like a lover to a girl or a woman to the queen in the Dvārakā. But he's telling in 36th verse, which is very, very important, that the beautiful faces of these queens are spotless, and they are such that they can conquer even the Cupid, right? And it is told that even Lord Shiva could fall victim to them. But despite of all these attractions, no, the last sentence is very, very important. They could not agitate the senses of the Supreme Lord, right? So the Supreme Lord himself is Atmaram. It is not that no, he feels a lot of satisfaction when he has some relationship with the queens of the Dvārakā, especially the 16,000 queens, right? So people may say that, okay, no, the Krishna is behaving like an ordinary person who is trying to have a relationship or mundane affairs like what a boy and girl has, and is trying to enjoy those relationships with the queen. But here Suta Goswami clearly mentions that they may have the beauty where they could conquer Cupid. They may have the beauty where the Lord Shiva could fall victim for. But he clearly mentions that no, they cannot agitate the senses of the Supreme Lord. right?
The common materialistic conditioned souls speculate that the Lord is one of them. Out of their ignorance, they think that the Lord is affected by matter, although is unattached. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities.
So here clearly Suta Goswami mentions, like we have seen in Bhagavad Gita also, where Krishna mentions that the miscreants, whenever the Supreme Lord comes in form of human form, so they just reject the Supreme Lord. So here also we can see that the common materialistic people, no, they think that okay, Lord has come into the material world, then he has become one like us, or he has got affected by Maya or the material modes of the nature, and then he is behaving like any of us, right? So Suta Goswami is telling no. Out of ignorance, they may think, but it is not. No, Supreme Lord cannot be agitated by material energy, because all these energies are created by the Supreme Lord. He is himself the creator. So we cannot expect the creator to be agitated by the creation what he has created. Right? So here again another point which Suta Goswami mentions is because he is the Supreme Lord and he is very divine, so he cannot be affected by the material nature. Similarly, the devotees also who are taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, they will not get influenced by the material qualities. So this is what actually Bhakti promises, right? So Bhagavad Gita or Bhakti process, nobody promises that no, if you do Bhakti, if you chant the name of the Supreme Lord, you will not have any problems. No, nobody does that promise. The promise they make is if you do Bhakti towards the Lord, if you chant the Hare Krishna mantra regularly, no, you will not get affected or you will not get influenced by the material qualities or whatever material things which are happening, right? So it is as similar as like if we pinch, no, slowly adult person, if you just pinch him, so he can tolerate it. He may not feel the pain of that pinch. But if you take a small toddler, like 2 years or 1 year, you just pinch, because toddlers are very soft, they're very pinkish, they're very tender skin. So you just a little pinch you do, so they cry because they cannot tolerate, right? So you can understand similar to that. So once we take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, so we just come out of that toddler body and become adult, where we can actually face any situations in the material world and we can become very happy. Like we may not be so much influenced, right? We can see other people, they take a lot of tension, they're worried because they don't trust the Supreme Lord. No, they just want to think, okay, whatever hard work I have done or whatever planning I have done, it should happen. But for a devotee, they also make plans, but they surrender to the Supreme Lord. If it goes to right or to the left, they're happy with any way. So if it goes as per their plan, they're happy. If they don't go, if it doesn't go according to the plan, so they think, okay, it's an opportunity for us to learn from it and just to move forward. But they're not like worried, frustrated, or depressed, right? So that is very, very important statement which Suta Goswami is making here, that the devotees who are taking shelter of the Lord does not become influenced by the material qualities. And the last verse is, the simple and delicate women truly thought that the Lord Kṛṣṇa, their beloved husband, followed them and was dominated by them. They were unaware of the extent of the glories of their husband, as the atheists are unaware of him as the supreme controller. So here Suta Goswami is trying to compare two different personalities of different end actually. No, there is one person who's atheist, who doesn't believe in the Supreme Lord, who doesn't believe in the supreme power of the Supreme Lord. And there's another personality like Queens of Dvārakā, who are so much immersed in Lord Kṛṣṇa that no, they don't believe that he's a Supreme Lord. No, they are just overwhelmed by the Shakti of the Supreme Lord, that they're covered by the Shakti of the Supreme Lord, that they don't even realize that their husband is the Supreme Lord. Right? So these are the two different personalities which Suta Goswami is comparing in this last one. So with this, we end this chapter of like how Lord Krishna, he enters the Dvārakā. So Hare Krishna to everyone. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thanks everyone for coming for this evening session, and we again wish that the departed soul of Sridhar Murari Prabhu's mother reap lot of benefit from all these activities what we are trying to perform.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So we'll end the session here, so everybody can log off. Thank you very much for again joining the session.